Okay, so just a little bit about negative signs. We always have to be careful with the signs because it makes a big difference if something is positive or if it's negative. So I'm just going to give you some of these properties. If you have a negative 1 times a, that's going to be the opposite of a. Now, if you have the opposite of negative a, that's just going to be a. So the opposite of a is just going to be a. We could keep working on that, but we won't. Okay, if you have the opposite of a times b, that's just going to equal the opposite of whatever a times b is. And then similarly, if you have a times the opposite of b, that's not subtraction there, it's multiplication. It's also going to equal the opposite of ab. So it doesn't matter which one's negative, you just multiply the two numbers and then you take the sign that's appropriate. Okay, and in this case, if a and b are positive, then you'd have a times a negative b, so a positive times a negative would be negative. Okay, I'm not going to talk anymore about that because it has to do with the values of a and b. Okay, so now then the two big ones. If you have the opposite of a plus b, this has to do with the distributive property that we talked about, then that's the opposite of a minus b. Okay, and then if you have the opposite of a minus b, that's going to be equal to the opposite of a plus b. And it's plus b because you have the opposite of negative b. So you're subtracting, it's this case right here, you're subtracting a negative number or an opposite, so it's just going to be b. Now, one thing on this, we can switch this to be b minus a. Sometimes that's really useful to do, to write it as subtraction rather than this addition here. You don't have to do that necessarily. Sometimes we don't do that, but every once in a while we do that. Okay? All right, so here comes an example. We've got lots of subtraction signs in here, so we can play around with it a little bit. And we've got some order of operations going on, and we also have some like terms. It looks like we're going to have some like terms. Okay, so we're going to start inside these brackets, these square brackets, and then we're going to look right here at the parentheses. Now, we can't do anything in the parentheses because we don't know the value of x, but we can get rid of the parentheses by distributing, and that's that last property we were just doing. Okay, so I'm going to write 8x plus 2. I haven't done anything with that so far. I like to keep the bracket, okay? All I'm doing right now is getting rid of the parentheses. So 5 minus x plus 3. Sometimes books will, since you got rid of the parentheses, they'll take the brackets and make those parentheses and get rid of the brackets. I don't like to do that, but I leave that up to you. Now I can simplify inside the brackets, or I can wait, but I'm going to go ahead and simplify. So I have like terms of 5 and 3, so I'm going to have 8 minus x. Okay, now what can I do? Well, I want to get rid of those brackets. So again, it's a distributing situation. Oops. So I'll distribute this 2, and I'm going to have 8x, I haven't done anything with that yet, plus, and now I'm going to have 16, because 2 times 8 was the 16. And then I have minus 2x. Okay, no sign change there because it was a positive 2 that we were distributing. And then the last thing I do is look for any like terms. So 8x minus 2x. Now you have to remember that is a minus 2x. That's part of the coefficient there. So it's going to be 6x plus 16. Now, if you're confused, we're going to do a lot of practice with this stuff because a lot of times these are the end steps. There's more examples and videos in the textbook, the e-text that you have. You can send me an email if you have any questions or come to office hours. I'm happy to help, and there's lots of resources. So this was a long section, a lot of videos, and hopefully there won't be as many videos in the next section, but sometimes there are. Good luck.